Welcome, realm walkers, gunslingers, hunters, lumberjacks, and fae. On this channel, I discuss the factions that design and build the worlds we explore in our games, movies, and stories. If you want to see more of that, hit subscribe. Today, we're going to talk about the resources you need as a realm walker and where you can get them. There are so many things you need to survive in the realms, it can get pretty complex. As a warning, this video contains spoilers for the story of Nightingale. Alright, let's get into it. The city was magnificent, a vision in brick, marble, and gold. Then came the Pale and the Bound. Chaos erupted as the fighting began. Those who could held the line so that the rest of the population could evacuate. You fought hard, and eventually it was your turn. You stepped through a portal, and the sounds of scrabbling claws and screaming beasts died as it all went black. You hoped that as many as could get away were as lucky as you, and you made a vow to return one day and reclaim your home. You found yourself dumped alone somewhere in between worlds. You have nothing but the meager clothes on your back and a few trinkets in your pocket. Maybe you know a bit of magic to get by, but it isn't much. You're going to have to find a way to survive in the wilds of the Fey realms, and that means learning the skills and building the tools you need to gather, to hunt, and to process what you find into usable materials. It'll be challenging. Each realm you encounter will have something you need. They also each have their own challenges to overcome. You're a realm walker now, and you have to prepare for the fights to come. Remember your vow. Remember those you're fighting for. Remember your home. You'll walk across countless expanses of wild land, places full of magic and mystery. The ruins of those who came before you litter these realms, and you'll see things that have passed out of living memory centuries or millennia ago. Still, though, there is knowledge that can prepare you for the journey ahead. You must learn about what each type of realm has to offer before you set foot therein, what you can obtain there, and what dangers may be waiting. The three major biomes you'll encounter are forests, deserts, and swamps. The weather, flora, and fauna in each biome share similar characteristics with those of other realms of the same type. The forests are densely packed with trees and foliage. You'll find plant fibers and wood in abundance here. Mind the dangers though. Wild boar roam the forest floors, and huge spiders stalk through the trees, spitting venom. Wild bandersnatches roam in large groups, waiting to swarm you, and wolves stalk their prey from the shadows. You'll want to keep alert. The dense trees can hide many dangers. The weather here is less likely to harm you, though it would be wise to take shelter during the rain or if the sky turns cold and snow begins to fall. The desert realms are wide open expanses of sand bound by high rocky cliffs. You can see for miles in every direction, and it's much more difficult to be surprised by predators or enemies. Automaton knights stalk the dunes, and they are powerful, unleashing blasts of energy from their crystals. Scarabs, scorpions, and other such creatures will attack on sight, so it's best to keep an eye on the path ahead. Your greatest enemy in the desert realms will assail you the moment you step through the portal. The blazing heat of the sun will slow you and prevent you from regaining stamina. It's best to have your umbrella handy and some water. Only the shade and the dark of night can keep this enemy from you. In the desert, you can find rare plants, strange new metals and gems, and the hardened carapaces of the enemies here, among other things. The swamp realms are densely foliated with wide expanses of dark water. You'll have to cross these wetlands to reach your destination. Spending too much time in the water here will cause you to contract a blight, which will leave you sickly and slow. You must plot your course effectively through the murk. To make matters worse, giantkin roam these realms, ready to smash any realm walkers who get too close. Massive frog-like enemies leap great distances, and the water-dwelling fauna are quick and silent. Harpies infest these lands as well, and their claws are vicious. They can strike from a distance, too, and the strongest of them is not easily felled. Swamps are a good place to hunt harpy, though. Their hides and feathers are worth finding, as are the many strange plants and minerals available here. And of course, all of the realms contain Bound. They infest forgotten or abandoned structures or roam the landscape at night. Using minor realm cards can change some of these conditions and make it easier to adventure in these places, though usually the easier your journey, the fewer high-tier materials will be available. Certain realm types are also better for gathering specific materials though. For instance, antiquarian realms increase the yield of wood you can find, and herbarium realms increase your plant yield. There are many types of resources available to you in the Fey realms. From plant materials and fiber, fruits, vegetables, and wood, you'll find stone in many forms, obtained from collecting the small piles of rocks littering the ground to breaking apart larger stones and boulders with a pick. Metals likewise can be mined in all sorts of places. They're often found along cliffs or deep inside caves. You'll often come across gems buried in the earth nearby that can be mined as well. And of course, you'll need to learn how to hunt. Hides and fur will give you the basic materials for making new clothes, but bones, chitin, and other materials cut from your prey will be very important for your other crafts as well. You'll first need to gather wood and stone. Your first simple tools will facilitate this: an axe and a pick. You will acquire better ones later, but with what you have, you can knock down some trees and mine some ore to build your first base and workshop and make some better tools. As you progress, you'll find stronger trees and harder stones that you can't break apart with your meager equipment. You'll need something stronger. The effort will be worthwhile, as these materials will give you much greater bonuses than what you get from your most basic materials. Your survival foods will come from berries that you can pick through the forests, as well as swamp plants that are highly nutritious. As you get better at hunting, and you will, you'll be able to gather meat, and you can cook that to make hearty stews, steaks, and other dishes. You'll find plant fiber all over that you'll need for building and turning into twine and cloth, though these resources are much harder to find in desert realms, for instance. You'll want to go searching for ores as well. You'll need lots of them to make strong tools and weapons. You'll find simple ore laying along the cliffs and shores, wherever the landscape is rocky. Searching in caves will yield much more ore as well as gems, though beware of the dangerous creatures that live in those dark places. Of course, there are some highly specialized resources as well, ones that are quite rare and only exist in certain places. Obviously, many of the strongest enemies you'll slay will provide you with materials that you can't get anywhere else. The monsters infesting the deep dungeons will reward those who hunt them with strong hides and bones. There are also creatures roaming the wilds that have become stronger than their peers and often lead packs of them. These beings will give you unique resources as well. These are called apex creatures. There are plants that will only grow in specific realms and under specific conditions. They can usually be spotted by the strange twisted formations of wood or stone on which they sprout. Special ores likewise form around large floating formations of rock that rise from the landscape of forest realms. They make powerful weapons and tools. These formations can often be spotted from a great distance due to their height. Be sure to put your spyglass to use. As you encounter higher tier resources, you'll have to craft tools capable of harvesting them. Your tools will save you from starving or being defeated by enemies, so make sure you make some powerful ones. Your first tool, and the one most necessary for finding basic building and crafting materials, will be your axe. This will also be your first weapon. The primary function will swing the tool at the target, breaking apart wooden structures, cutting down trees, and felling your enemies. In combat, the secondary feature will allow you to block incoming strikes, a skill well worth learning if you're the sort who likes to get up close in a fight. Several charms can enhance the tool's effectiveness, such as the charm of cleaving, which allows you to strike several foes at once in combat. The charm of discharge is helpful when blocking, restoring stamina on a successful block. The charm of the lumberjack is particularly useful when harvesting wood, restoring stamina after striking a tree. There are many such charms, and some can be combined to make you a master of the axe, both in gathering and in combat. Humans in the Fey realms can only use magic attached to tools or weapons. You can craft some spells quite useful for the purpose of gathering resources. The regrowth spell will allow you to regrow trees from stumps, providing an endless supply of wood from a single area if used properly. Another tool you'll find useful for foraging and gathering is your sickle. While many plants can be harvested simply by plucking them from the ground, some are not so easy to get. They'll require a sharp sickle to cut. Some grasses and special fungi, for instance, can only be harvested with a sickle. Your sickle must be the appropriate gear level to get at some of them as well. The sickle can also be used as a weapon. Its secondary feature allows you to toss it in a narrow arc, slicing foes in front of you a short distance away. The tool will always return to your hand. Charms, such as the charm of bounty, also increase the yield of plants gathered with the tool. The sickle functions as a single-handed weapon, allowing you to equip offhand items, which can make you more effective against a powerful enemy or group of foes, both of which you'll face in your travels. Plants and wood are easy targets. They don't fight back. Well, except Eotans, so watch out for them as you're running around in the woods. If you hit one by accident, you'll know it. You'll soon learn that no realm walker can get by without at least a bit of practice hunting. Whether you're delving into the deep dungeons to fight the bound or crouching behind a tree waiting for deer to wander into range, you'll need to hone your abilities in the art of killing. Stealth is one of the abilities that will serve you well in this area. Crouching low and sighting your prey from afar will allow you crucial time to strike first. Prey like deer will flee if they spot you, and they run fast. If you don't get one in a single shot, you'll have to track them through the woods, which will be tough if you're not well hidden. Stealth will also aid you against more aggressive enemies. The range at which they see you will be reduced, which gives you an advantage. Crafting your gear to maximize stealth is important if you do a lot of hunting. Certain materials will greatly increase the stealth rating on a piece of clothing or gear. The charm of stealth will also help, though you'll deal much less damage with each shot. If you use guns, certain ammunition types will come in handy, such as entangling shot or ice rounds, which can stop or slow an enemy. No matter how stealthy you are or how quick you move, you'll eventually have to show your hand, and that's where your true test in combat will lie. You can hunt most things with the simplest of weapons, if you can get close enough to a deer to strike before it runs, for instance, though this is probably not the best approach. Fighting predators is fine with a melee weapon, though, as they tend to come to you and they like to get in close. In fact, having at least some ability to fight with an axe or sword or one of your other tools will be essential when things get pretty hairy. Most weapons of this type have some secondary feature. They allow you to block an incoming blow. Your picks and axes are useful, or, as I just mentioned, you can use a sword, which can slice your enemies quickly. Charms such as Cleave and Fervor will come in handy, as might the Charm of Thorns if you're good at blocking, damaging enemies whose attacks you block. Certain spells will be very useful if you plan to get up close. The most effective is Quake, which creates a field of churning earth that knocks down and damages enemies in an area. You can simply step in and mop up the mess, so to speak. The Discerning Hunter, though, will make great use of ranged weapons. You'll acquire a bow early on, and these weapons allow you to strike from great distances. You can find magical arrows as well, which will make tougher situations much easier. And of course, there are guns. They deal high damage and can strike from a long range. Beware though, the sound of their discharge can alert nearby foes to your location. Ranged weapons can be equipped with charms, such as the Charm of the Sniper, which prevents your shots from losing power over long distance. They can't, however, be enchanted with spells, so if your choice of weapons is the firearm, you'll sacrifice the use of magic. When hunting, you're primarily looking for skins and hides, though, and you can't get them if you don't have a tool to skin your fallen prey. You'll learn early on to create a crude knife, which will cut up your kill for their resources. As you progress, you'll learn to craft more powerful knives to use both as tools and weapons. You may wish to combine the utility of a knife with the advantage of range, and for this, there are throwing knives. They can deal damage from afar, and you can use them to skin a kill. Among the metals you'll mine, there are some that possess extraordinary properties such as incredibly high damage bonuses or a huge boost to your magical abilities. Those materials require courage to find and well-crafted tools to extract. You'll begin with a simple pick made from wood and stone. It'll break sandstone and cut tin ore, but not much else. Tin ore is the most basic of metals. It's easy to mine, easy to smelt, and plentiful in lower tier realms. It has the property of increasing the durability of items crafted with it. It's also best used to make ammunition, as it's easy to find. Zinc is another lower tier metal that will be useful for similar projects, though it's also useful for crafting alloys. You'll find stronger metals with many useful properties in the higher tier realms, those that let you create really powerful tools and weapons. Some metals increase strike damage, some ranged, some improve stealth, while others increase your magical abilities. Metals in their various forms can also be combined with other materials, multiplying and combining their properties. You'll have to build a forge and learn to smelt metals to do this, which is something you'll do early on. Metals with similar properties can be combined to create alloys, which will create a metal with the combination of properties. Those with the same property can also be combined into etched ingots to create a metal that increases the same property. You can combine metals with other materials as well, such as wood, to make gilded lumber, which combines the properties of the wood and the metal into a single piece of material that can be used to craft a tool or part. Since parts are made from a combination of materials and tools and gear are made from a combination of parts, you can plan ahead to maximize a particular set of properties when crafting an item. Metals aren't the only materials you'll need to mine as you travel the worlds. You'll find all kinds of gems. These can either be used in their raw form or refined into cut gems. They're often found alongside metal ore, usually in caves and other underground environments, though some will be found outdoors in many of the same places where you can find metals. They're especially useful for crafting mystical tier items, which are highly decorative and feature inset gems. Quartz is your most basic gem, though there are many more to find. They often boost physical properties such as movement speed, damage, health, and stamina. The rarer gems will greatly increase your elemental resistances. Many of your metals and gems will be found in ore formations, though there are some that are more difficult to find, such as Ainada, Noble Bismuthus, or Noble Hollow. These are highly sought after for their bonuses to damage and magic. They're often found growing from large stone formations that rise into the sky, barely tethered to the ground. These towers of rock can be seen floating from a great distance away, if one knows what to look for. Some of the material will be easily obtainable around the base of the formation, but if you manage to climb up higher, you can access more, though it can get dangerous and difficult the higher you go. It's worth it though. These materials are not easy to come by, and their bonuses are high. Some metals and gems can only be obtained by taking them from creatures. Some you'll have to fight for, while others, such as the Pellucidic etched ingot, you can barter for if you'd rather avoid bloodshed. Of course, you won't be able to get most of the materials you need unless you have a really strong mining tool or two at your disposal. Your most basic tool is your pick. Like your axe, it can be used as a weapon if you choose to wield it as such. Its secondary effect is a block, just like your axe. As you craft better tools from better materials and start upgrading, enchanting, and infusing them, you'll increase the item's gear score. Items with a higher score will be able to gather higher tier materials. They'll be more effective in combat, and any properties they possess will be increased as well. One problem realm walkers often have is the need to save space for more loot. Carrying around a bunch of tools can make things difficult for us pack rats. Someone asked the question, why use 2 tools when you can use 1? Thus was invented the axe pick. Combining the properties of the axe and the pick, this tool can strike both at wood, metal, and gems alike. It loses the ability to block incoming blows in favor of a primary attack with the axe end and a secondary attack with the pick end, effective in combat as well if you can't get the hang of blocking anyway. Whether you hunt at range or up close though, you'll find that most enemies will either fight back or run. As you get stronger, it won't take more than a shot or 2 to down your prey, so this will be less of a problem. Among the wildlife you'll find in the realms, something else roams woods, swamps, and deserts. Much rarer and more difficult to spot. Some argue whether wisps are really alive or if they're just the effects of excess magic that pops into existence and floats around aimlessly. I won't get into that debate here, though they do seem to exhibit behavior patterns and will flee if approached or attacked. Made up of small bundles of glowing essence, they float around in clusters. You'll know when they're nearby from the noise they produce, an unmistakable sprightly jingling sound. If you get close enough to touch one, they'll drop some of their essence. If you keep chasing the same wisp and touching it, you'll eventually deplete it of its essence so that it blinks out of existence. Wisp hunting is a good way to get the last little bit of essence you need if you're tired of fighting your way through dungeons and bunkers and need something more calm. There is a trick, however, as with most magical creatures, wisps are affected strongly by the dispel effect, such that the use of a dispel grenade can make the job easier. Lob a dispel grenade at a wisp, it'll freeze in place, and collect as much essence as you can before it disappears. You can of course just strike or shoot them if you're in a hurry, though you may get less essence this way. There are many charms that are highly useful for hunting in the wilds, both beasts and wisps. The charm of essence will help you by dropping additional essence nearby whenever you kill 3 enemies. Very handy if you're in a target-rich environment. The charm of skinning will yield additional resources when skinning a kill, useful for those hunting expeditions. If you're a user of magic, there's a spell that's of great help to those hunting in dense forests or swamps. Beast's Instinct will reveal the locations of creatures even through solid objects. Highly useful if your prey keeps disappearing behind cover. Hunting is a lot easier in the desert realms, as there's very little cover. If you're mostly interested in hunting bugs, that is. One thing that's much more difficult though is fishing. You're unlikely to find enough water to cast a line in. Fishing is one of those activities that takes some skill and patience, even in the Fey realms. The wonderful sea life you can find, though, is worth the time it takes to learn. When you craft your first fishing rod, you'll want to pay attention to its properties. It can, if you're in a very tight spot, serve as a weapon, if you're attacked while caught unaware. Choosing a location to fish is important. You'll find different fish in different environments, such as the fen bass that lives in the muddy waters of swamp realms. The higher the score of your rod, the stronger the fish you'll be able to reel in with it. So if you're in need of a rare catch, you'll need some rare materials. You'll simply cast your line in the water, and when you feel a bite, you'll need to keep tension on the line until the fish tires and you can bring it in. Fish have many uses, from cooking and eating to being processed into oils that can be used for crafting. Mind that there isn't any danger nearby before you cast though. Nothing worse than almost getting the rare fish only to be interrupted by a bound brute bashing you into the dust. There are some charms which will give you an edge while fishing as well. The charm of endless fishing will prevent you from going hungry while you spend your time fighting the creatures of the deep. The charm of magic bait will give you essence when you catch a fish, for a little extra incentive. And the charm of the naiad will increase your health regeneration when you're wet, good for standing in pools of water to fish, or while fighting in the rain. It doesn't matter if you're a no-nonsense gunslinger or a highly trained mage. Magic will always be of use to you in some way during your adventures. Even if you've never touched a single spell, charms, infusions, and magical cards will be something you can't do without. I've touched on some of the charms and spells that you can use already, but there are others that will come in handy when gathering and hunting. No hunter should be without the recovery spell on at least one weapon. This spell allows you to regenerate your health if you get into a tough situation. The Dispel enchantment works well on wisps, but it can also allow you to remove certain effects in the world which may slow your journey. Oberon's Bounty will increase the damage and yield of your tools, if used in the correct circumstances, great for the avid hunter or gatherer. And if you're in the market for larger, tougher prey, the Track Legend spell will lead you to the nearest apex creature. Charms which will come in handy include the Charm of the Mule, which will greatly increase your carrying capacity, allowing you to take home more heavy materials like lumber and stone. The Charm of Mining will restore some stamina when you strike a vein, giving you the opportunity to gather more quickly. And charms that can help you move more quickly, like the charms of the Raven or the Wind, will make hunting and gathering much easier. Learning how to gather, forage, and hunt in the realms is one of the skills most useful to a realm walker throughout their journey. With enough skill and practice, you'll find your pockets overflowing with all sorts of interesting things. You'll want to set up a manageable storage system at your home so you can easily keep track of what you have and what you need. You'll spend much of your time looking for just the right metal for that sword or hunting for the hide to make a jacket that best matches your hat, if you're the stylish type. Make sure you're ready to dive headfirst into danger. Don't neglect your inventory management, and be sure to stock up on ammunition. You'll soon be building and crafting your way to success. Soon, you'll have everything you need, and then it'll be time. Time to fulfill your vow. Time to return to Nightingale City and push back the invasion. Make sure you're ready. Well, that's hunting and gathering in the Fey Realms. I hope maybe you learned a few things you didn't already know, or at least you found the video mildly amusing. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate everyone who does, especially if you stick around to the end. If you liked the video, please hit like, and if your hunts haven't been going well lately and you want to change that, hit subscribe. If you think I missed anything or want to discuss the topic, let me know in the comments down below. Oh, and before you go, I want to give a shout out to my patrons who help support the channel. Our $10 patron is Washuki at the artisan level. If you want to get your name in the credits, head on over and sign up. The Patreon link is in the description. You'll get access to an exclusive Discord and some exclusive art and stories that you can use or discuss and contribute to. And remember, the greater the danger, the greater the reward. Just bring a few extra health potions, just in case. Alright, thank you all. Bye, Internet.